It is.
That's what we're looking for. Hello there, and welcome to the Stay Off My Lawn podcast, where we'll have a little fun, lots of laughs, and discussions on the common sense that needs to be applied to a lot of today's world news issues. And now, the disclaimer. Stay Off My Lawn is not intended as legal, medical, or financial advice. Void where prohibited. No purchase necessary to win. Open to legal U.S. residents 18 or older in the contiguous 48 states. Any resemblance to anyone living or deceased is purely coincidental. Actual price may vary. Only use as directed. Not a member of FDIC. And now, here are your hosts, Mike and Richard.
All in one breath. That's very impressive. Very impressive. Welcome to this week's episode of Stay Off My Lawn. It's January 20th. 1 year ago, President Trump took his inauguration
Oath
for
of
his
office.
term 1 year ago today, and this is episode 151. So,
And after all the partying that we had last week, I walked through the lobby today, and it was almost like a ghost town. What did it sound like to you out there?
That's what. Yeah, there's nobody here today. It's just us.
That's right. I mean, if when you're not having a party and someone doesn't adulterate the punch bowl, there's just not a whole lot going on out there. You never hear from marketing or sales department unless there's a function. You can even say we're going to have a meeting, and 2 out of the 12 or so will actually show up to a
We had
meeting.
a bottle of wine out there with the screw top unscrewed. They might show up,
Yeah.
because we get the expensive stuff here. So.
That's right. No expenses spared on that. I
You
can
walk through
assure you.
Kroger, you find the sale items, and they normally have the screw tops. So I mean,
Well, the box stuff works just as well.
yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. You just got to set it up on a shelf.
Yeah.
But it is 1 year since Pam Bondi's been in her office, and I expected more. And I
So
think
did a lot of other people.
They've been calling for her head for a couple of weeks now, and I've heard a lot of. I listen to a lot of talk radio, and I listen to a lot of. And Richard and I share things together all the time on Instagram and different senators and everything. And the consensus is we should have seen something happen by now instead of just investigation.
They're being investigated. Big whoop.
But I did hear Harmeet Dillon, who was she's in the DOJ in some capacity. I forgot what her title is officially.
I think she's the
telling Glenn Beck-
assistant AG, something like
Yeah,
that. I don't know.
She's over some portion of it, and I can't remember what it was. But she did say that, and it seems like everything's moving slow, but in her estimation, things are actually moving the way they should. So, and I actually do trust her. I like her. I mean, we've known her for a long time. She's been in the spotlight. She actually ran for the RNC chair a couple of years ago, and I really thought she was going to get it. But so anyway, if she's correct, then maybe we just need to have more patience. But patience is hard. I mean, we want to see perp walks.
Patience, my arse. I could do that a lot today because if I still have a voice by the time we get to the end of this, I'm starting to sound like an old 90.
The first part of this program has been brought to you by Artie Johnson. Don't know who Artie Johnson is? We need to
look him up.
do a clip. So, anyway, speaking of people that need to be arrested, Sunday there was a bunch of protesters interrupting church services of all things in Minneapolis, which is like it blows my mind. But this is not only did they interrupt church services, but they recorded themselves and then put it online, which is like almost like, well, if you didn't have enough evidence, here's more.
Thank you for your help. I don't know. It's they've already been. Well, we know that one is. We know that one isn't. Yeah.
Anyway, this is part of how the protest sounded like.
Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good! Shame on you! Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are your people? people? Why are you not at Whipple every day fighting for the humanity, standing for our people? Where are you? All these comfortable
Our
white
people?
people who are
You
living
mean all the
lavish
illegal
lives
immigrants?
while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters.
I should have had a latte. I think that sounds. I mean, it's like
Almighty.
concentration camps.
What concentration camps?
Oh.
And they're talking about, oh, they're going hungry. If they're going hungry, stop sending so much money back to the whatever the faction is that's a terrorist organization in Somalia.
Boko Haram, I think is what it was.
Yeah, I've heard it several times, and it's just not one that sticks with you. It's like, you need to catch your name, people.
Yeah. You need something. You need.
Yeah, this is not marketable. Try again.
Yeah, one more time. But that's the thing that gets me is these people, and I don't know whether it was Officer Tatum. Somebody brought up that when you watch these protests, you don't see a lot of Somalians in the street. You don't see a lot of Venezuelans in the street. These are all white people. Our people is what that one guy said. You caught that? It's like our people.
They're not my people. I don't know who you're talking about. You mean the ones that have stolen us blind and taken my tax money for illicit purposes? Those are your people?
You're the
not
ones
mine.
taking the pays when you're not getting signs from George Soros organizations and going out there and cashing checks.
Oh, and there's lots more about that. They need to just keep pushing on that Renee Good, because she was a paid instigator and had been for quite some time and has been to several protest things. And so, yeah, she was not a good person and had a rap sheet as long as your arm.
Oh, did she? See, I didn't read that. I
She
did
had
see where
issues with that, too.
her and her partner were not even legally married. I mean, this whole thing, well, she's a widow, or it's like there was no legality there. So I mean, yeah, it's terrible that the boy has to grow up without a mother, but maybe DFAX would have a better mother lined up for him somehow. You know, I don't know, but I mean, she just seemed like she was just not. How good of a mother are you when you're out there doing these kind of things and not being home with your kid or doing mother things?
Only one of the three she had. The other two were not, because her partner liked to put her cigarettes out on her kids, and so they were taken away.
Yeah. It's just, anyway, this whole thing with the and we'll talk about this here in a minute, but the king of arrogance and ignorance, Don Lemon, which was where
Lemon Boy.
Yeah, Lemon Boy. He was he's desperately trying to stay relevant, and it's just not working. And anyway, he was in the mix in one of the churches that was targeted Sunday. And he tried to interview the pastor, and here's part of how that went.
What do you think of this? I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. So,
but there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
okay, but listen, we live in there's a constitution and a First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble.
Not that there isn't.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus, because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world, is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus.
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a
no
Christian?
one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship.
You're not.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
He wouldn't know Christian but anyway, the First Amendment apparently is unclear to the left. I mean, what it protects and what it doesn't. You can't just push your way into private property and just take over.
No, that is the ultimate disrespectfulness that's going on, and this is the Soros way of pushing against the Christians, and it's just not right. You can bet your bottom dollar if they did some investigation, damn near every one of those people were paid to be there.
Oh, absolutely.
And they were told what to say and how to do it. And here's it's like, get out of our church.
Yeah.
You don't belong in here. There's been people that have come into churches and shot them up. So just wandering in is not cool.
Not at all. Not at all. But it's just.
It just frost my gizzard.
It annoys me to no end. But it's like the First Amendment doesn't cover you to go onto a private property and just take over or just yell at somebody. You just can't do that. It's the same as going and the misunderstanding of the First Amendment. And they keep throwing this out there, and apparently they're speaking to the lowest common denominator of even the Democrats, to where people had never read the Bill of Rights and have no idea what it says.
Nope.
I'm just annoyed to no end. But there is an investigation, so thankfully. It seems to be in direct violation of this thing called the FACE Act. Have you read about this lately? The FACE Act came out in 1994. It reads, the freedom of access to clinic entrances is where that's what FACE stands for. It's a U.S. law enacted in 1994 that prohibits the use of force, threats, or physical obstruction to interfere with individuals seeking reproductive health services or exercising their right to religious worship. It aims to protect access to clinics and places of worship from violence and intimidation. So that's clear violation to me. That seems like
that's just straight out and out. Yeah.
So.
A violation of the FACE Act. Well, regardless, that was a violation of their worship time and in their facility. Absolutely. I mean, they're welcoming, just not welcoming to someone who wants to come in and be disruptive and try to say, I have my right. No, you don't. You have violated. You have First Amendment rights until you violate others.
That's the thing. They don't understand there's limitations. There's limitations to the Second Amendment. There's limitations to all of them. I mean, you can't burst into Costco and the guy who's giving the knife demonstration, you can't go over there and rip his microphone off his head and start taking over. I mean, that's not First Amendment stuff. I mean, it's a terrible example, I guess, but it just doesn't make
sense. Where the hell did that come from?
Well,
anyway, I understand. Yeah.
When you go somewhere where you're not invited, or you're and decide to just take over, you just can't do that.
No.
But anyway, Don did have a response when he got called out online, and of course his response is just silly.
And there's a certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice, but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. And they think
he has to get that in.
That it is a Christian country when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom. It's religious freedom, but only if you're a Christian and only if you're a white male, pretty much. And so, yeah, I absolutely 100%, but it's an intimidation tactic. And, I said, I don't understand how I've become the face of it when I was a journalist. I do understand that I'm the biggest name there.
Oh, I'm the biggest
And I'm also,
name.
as I was on with my producers this morning, you and Kylie talk all the time. My producers were saying, I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're a gay black man in America.
I'm a victim. I'm always a victim.
Almighty. Okay, lemon boy, add some more water to that. Jeez. It just infuriates me to listen to 5 minutes of him become all of a sudden from being this and that to all of a sudden now it's white supremacist. I'm so sick and tired of hearing white supremacist. And Minnesota, I looked that up the other day, was 78% white.
Is it?
But yet it's being run by all of these illegal aliens that have been brought into our country that is stealing from everybody in the United States, not just Minnesota. They went big time. And hey, guys, you need to do this. And so then the faction that's in Ohio went, well, you guys got a good thing going. Yeah, we're going to do that too. And it's happening in California. Oh, yeah, it doesn't take long for that community to go, hey, here's a way to sit on your can, not do anything. It's better than the welfare of having 8 houses and one husband that doesn't live in the other 7. And so they're single moms and they have figured out, well, the system is there. It's not our fault you don't guard it because we're decent human beings. You don't do that. That is stealing.
Yeah, back in the 50s and 60s, a lot of these programs were in place, but people weren't taking advantage of it to the extent that they are today.
Yeah,
Because,
well, it was meant to be a hand up, not a hand out. There is a difference, folks.
so I'm a little cautiously optimistic, like we said at the top of the program, that there'll be some justice. Eric Erickson, I don't know if anybody's familiar with him, but he has a syndicated talk show. He's actually from Atlanta, but he was talking about this on his radio show the other day, and here's what he had to say.
The Justice Department is actually announcing right now that they intend to indict the individuals who participated in the storming of this church. You should note, by the way, I just saw this from Chuck Ross. If you don't know Chuck, he's an investigative reporter at the Washington Free Beacon. He says the lead organizer is a lawyer named Nakima Armstrong. Don Lemon kissed her on the cheek before interviewing her about the operation. Lemon recorded the planning session on his live feed and shut off his camera when they were discussing details. Another organizer is St. Paul School Board member Chantel Allen, who led the mostly white protesters in a chant of "We have nothing to lose but our chains." Here are some of the things Lemon said on his live feed before storming the church. He touted their secret clandestine plan, clearly in on the operation. Quote, "These are resistance protesters that are planning an operation we're going to follow them on. I can't tell you what they're doing." But he then described it as where they surprise people, catch them off guard, and hold them to account because they are strategizing. I don't want to get too much of their information here. And he turned off his camera. He clearly was involved. Again, on January 6, 2021, a number of people went into the U.S. Capitol claiming to be journalists, and they were ultimately indicted and prosecuted by the Biden administration for being complicit in the activities of the protesters that day in the U.S. Capitol as trespassers. Don Lemon, the precedent was set by the Biden administration for them to prosecute you on this stuff.
There you go. The precedent has been set.
I love like how he doesn't go lemon. It's lemon. It's lemon boy.
Lemon law. Yeah. Take this back because this sucks. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, there was a father in there that was holding his son, a young son, was just absolutely terrified of these people coming in and yelling at him and stuff. And he was just practically squeezing his dad, and his dad was trying to calm him down. That's not what you do. I don't know who these people are, but I hope they either take a buttload of their money and or spend a ton of time in jail.
Yeah. I've got family in Texas to where they actually are part of security team at their church. And they're armed. I mean, they all have concealed carries, and this kind of thing happens there. It could be real ugly real quick. Now, I'm not sure our church, I know we have a security team too, but I don't know whether there's any arming or not. I would think, but I don't know. But I think that if you're going to do this kind of thing, it's only going to happen in places like Minnesota or Illinois or wherever where they have this super strict gun laws to where people,
California, New York, all of those.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have a stand your ground law too. So
yeah, most states do to a certain extent, but yeah, I mean,
no, not the blue ones.
You don't think? Yeah, they don't have castle laws?
No, not in California. You shoot somebody in California, they arrest you, even though they invaded your house.
Why in the world would you stay there? I understand the weather's beautiful, but goodness gracious. But I mean, and California set aside, but if you're living in places like Minnesota, Illinois, New York, I mean, the weather sucks. Why are you, I mean, so other than you've got family there, and you know what, someday you're going to have to grow up and just put your big boy panties on and move to another state and chart your own path and not worry about my poor Aunt Peggy who lives up in upstate New York. I don't want to be away from her. You know what? She's going to be fine. I mean, just I don't know. I just couldn't. I couldn't live somewhere because of somebody else. So especially if it's.
Yeah, I'm happy where I am at the moment, and it's fine. I've never lived next to family anywhere.
No. So my family sucked anyway. So I mean, I didn't want to be around them anyway. They didn't want me around. So I mean, it all worked out well.
Well, I like that mutual exclusivity.
Yeah, just like whatever, I mean, it worked fine for me. Anyway, we're up against a break. When we come back, we're gonna stay on the Minnesota theme. We've got a couple more people under federal investigation we'll talk about. So hang in there. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. More of the Stay Off My Lawn podcast is coming up.
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Real men of genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. Tuxedo Shop Tux Renter.
Mr. Tuxedo Shop Tux Renter.
When the evening calls for 5 groomsmen in identical robin's egg blue double-breasteds, you are there.
It's your wedding day.
Last night, little Jason Weinstein had the slow dance of his life in the exact same pants I'm now wearing.
Lucky Jason Weinstein.
Any schmo can wear a suit, but only a gentleman can pull off a canary yellow set of tails with a matching top hat.
You're a star.
So crack open an ice-cold Bud Light, Titan of the Tux, because a classy event always calls for rented clothes.
Mr. Tuxedo Shop Tux Renter.
Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Kid having his bar mitzvah in the suit you're wearing today. Like, I don't know.
I like how they get that. The singer of that always has the words he's got. It's like, wow, that was a mouthful he had to spit out.
He does more. He's a pro.
And he's talking about a yellow-tailed with a yellow top hat. That's the guy that owns the Savannah Bananas.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to see them guys. They are sold out, I think, already for next year.
It is exceedingly hard to get tickets. My daughter and the grandsons got to go to an event, and they just loved it.
I mean, it's just so fun. So fun. Yeah. If you don't know what Savannah Bananas are, they're like the baseball version of the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I would love to be able to see them, but I don't think they come around our area anyway. But
well, they're in your state. So
yeah, I know, but I mean, it's in the opposite corner of my state. But
yeah, it'd be about a 4-hour drive to.
Yes, 4-hour drive to Savannah. It's just, and that's considering Atlanta doesn't have some kind of crazy traffic, which they almost 90% of the time they do. So, unless you're driving at 3 a.m, Atlanta's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tampon Tim and Jacob 11-inch biceps Frey are under federal investigation. This guy just drives me crazy. It's like both of them drive me crazy for the same reason. Both of them think that they're the brawny paper towel guy, and it's like they are nothing. Anyway, it blows my mind. But anyway, they're under federal investigation, and CBS Saturday Morning News put it this way: is really interesting. CBS is starting to soften up a little bit on their left wing. Not totally, but anyway.
Well, their news department's been kind of jostled, and they're getting rid of all of these woke tards, as some say, and they're not so hardcore woke. ABC is still horrible. One of the worst news stations on national TV.
I saw an ad for NBC the other day, and they were talking about how they're unbiased. I'm like, well,
I know, I almost puked when I saw that.
Are you kidding me? Yeesh. Anyway, this is how CBS Saturday Morning News talked about this.
We begin with this morning's top story, an escalation in the immigration crackdown in Minneapolis. CBS News was the first to report the Justice Department has launched an investigation of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. The investigation centers on an alleged conspiracy by the two Democratic leaders to feed federal immigration agents to impede their work. It comes as protests have intensified after the fatal shooting last week of Renee Good by an ICE agent. Nearly 3,000 federal immigration agents have been dispatched to Minneapolis to arrest people who are in the United States illegally. Ian Lee is in Minneapolis. Ian, good morning.
Good morning, Adriana. CBS News has learned this investigation focuses on whether Walz or Frey have impeded federal immigration action through public statements they've made.
Armed, masked, undertrained ICE agents are going door to door, ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live.
In a statewide address Wednesday night, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz criticized the federal immigration crackdown in Minneapolis.
And if you see these ICE agents in your neighborhood, take out that phone and hit record.
On Friday, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey called the operation an invasion.
What we're seeing on our streets is unnecessary abuses of force.
Now both Democrats are under federal investigation. Multiple sources familiar with the matter tell CBS News the probe stems from statements Waltz and Frey have made about the immigration action. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche appeared to hint at the investigation earlier this week with a post saying, Waltz and Frey, I'm focused on stopping you from your terrorism by whatever means necessary. This is not a threat, it's a promise.
Well, let's hope there's teeth behind that promise. I mean,
well,
again,
there was a video clip that I saw of a ICE agent in a pickup, and you realize we're here to pick up a pedophile who has raped and abused children, and you're trying to stop and protect them. What kind of stupidity is this? He said as he drove off. This is just insane.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I don't. It's hard to have any patience with this guy. I mean, I don't know.
Patience with the left, who are still being uber woke, and they keep trying to bring in and separate stuff as in, our black neighbors. And no, we're trying to get criminals, and they don't want to admit that crossing the border illegally is a crime. All they did was, that's a crime. You're in this country illegally.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's enough. That's enough to have somebody pull you out and put you in a paddy wagon and take you and get you processed to go back home. I mean, it just is.
Well, and just under, especially in Minnesota, just under 80%, like 78% of people who have been in this country for 10 years are still on welfare.
Yeah.
For 10 years. They're not going to work. That's well, you've seen the gentleman, and I think they have arrested him since and sent him away, no, you are to go to work for us. We don't work. You go to work for us. Really? No.
It's worked so far. I mean, I can't, it's hard to argue the point that it's like, you can sit in your bed for 10 years and not do anything. I mean, I guess that's what you do. I mean, but I couldn't do it, but a lot of people can. So, I mean, I was talking to my son about that the other day, about socialism. It's like, eventually the people who are actually working realize that there's a lot of people taking the money that they've earned and sitting on their butt at home and doing nothing but play video games. Eventually the incentive goes away, and so do the hard workers of this country. And so everybody ends up being impoverished. And this has happened over and over and over in history. And it's like, but they are preaching to and I've said this so many times, the low IQ section of the Democratic Party, which seems to be growing, that because you don't know history, we're just going to keep shoveling this same old crap at you, and you're going to buy it because you don't know history. You don't.
I had someone who was trying to say, well, you don't even know what you're talking about. I said, really? Do you have a copy of the Constitution? They didn't. I took a picture of the book that I've got and a page from it, and and they just left the chat went away. They went, well, oh crap, he does have evidence. Crap. Yeah. And they went, I don't want to deal with this. I'm out of here.
I can't believe this guy knows how to read. It's just incredible. Scott Jennings, our buddy over at CNN, and I wonder how long they're going to keep him there. But
I wonder how long CNN's going to be there. They're pushing. They're headed to the woke side again. So does that mean that Soros has given them money to make it for a little while longer?
He's got plenty of it. So maybe somebody's holding them up as certainly isn't advertisers.
Oh, hell no. Nobody's watching. Their viewership is horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have 1 million people a day. It is less than some of the underrated stuff that's on cable. It's like, seriously?
And that's the thing. Ted Turner doesn't own them anymore. So there's no way for him to keep writing checks. Somewhere along the line, they've got shareholders to answer to, and it's just it's gotta end eventually. But Abby Phillip, her show, that she normally has Scott Jennings on there, What a shill for the Democratic Party. Anyway, Scott Jennings was asked about something about this specific thing, and anyway, here's how that exchange went.
Based on their public statements, it's pretty clear that, and based on the statements of officials at DOJ, it's pretty clear there is concern that these two guys have used their positions and their public statements to try to obstruct the execution of federal laws. Now, whether that rises to a crime, I don't know.
Give me an example.
Yeah, where's that clarity?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think they've both made numerous public statements that have made it perfectly clear that they do not want federal laws to be enforced in Minnesota, and that they flatly said they don't want ICE there enforcing federal immigration laws. They both said that. They have literally both said, ICE, leave Minnesota. In fact, Tim Walz said we're on the third day of Gettysburg at one point.
He did not say that either. Okay, sorry, but he didn't say that.
I tend to disagree.
You haven't seen it, and it's funny how when it serves them, the Democratic side wants evidence.
Yeah.
But when we ask them, well, it's just, they don't have anything. So they don't want you trying to get after them for evidence, but it's okay for you. And Scott Jennings has it. We've all seen it. Where is she looking?
Yeah. And that's all they're doing. They just deny, again, feeding the lower IQ section of their viewership because they'll just believe whatever comes out of their mouth. But of course, we here at Stay Off My Lawn have receipts.
Oh, I saw a posting here not too long ago, and someone I know that says, yeah, I should be out there. How come they're not doing more to find all these kids that were, well, for one, it was Obama was involved, as well as Biden, sort of, if he knew what was going on, who let all these people in, and then they lost over 300,000 kids. And I said, what do you mean they're not doing anything about it? Why aren't they finding these kids? They found almost 130,000 of them so far. And I posted the article saying, here it is, there's evidence. And again, the chat just stopped.
Of course, because they expect you to know as little as they do. And
well, it was some idiot telling another person, and they posted what this other idiot said, that they're not doing anything. Why aren't they out getting all these kids and finding them? They've found 130,000 of them in a year.
They're so used to spewing talking points that hurts from somebody else and taking it as gospel. And they expect that that's what we do too, but that's not true. As far as the third day of Gettysburg, here's what Tampon Tim actually said.
Oh, thank you.
So I want Minnesotans to not believe that I'm telling you not to be angry, not to be scared, not to be feeling a little bit hopeless in this moment. But I would also say this, and I saw it last night. I saw it during George Floyd. I've seen it throughout our history. When things looked really bleak, it was Minnesota's first that held that line for the nation on that July 3rd, 1863.
July 3rd, 1863. Gettysburg started July 1st, 1863. So that was day 3. Scott Jennings, he knew what he was talking about. As
yes,
usual.
he did. He didn't say that. No, he implied it. He pretty much said it without those exact words, but that's what he said.
That's exactly what he said. He just used a date instead of saying the third day.
Yeah.
So anyway,
and she is horrible. She is one of the worst. She interrupts everybody. Nobody can get through a sentence. It is just, I can't stand to even watch clips with her in it. She is so annoying.
And she seems, if you just listen to her speak, she seems like she's probably just such a nice person. Probably not, but she seems like it, like somebody you could talk with. But she is just so. See, she's a shill. That's exactly what she is.
She's a woke tard.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, the arrogance. He never said that. It's like, well, how do you know? First of all, if somebody told me that Trump said something, I'd be like, I hadn't heard that. Where did you hear that? I'm not going to come back and go, no, he didn't. That's silly. I can't know everything. If you know something that I don't, okay.
That's all right with me. And if I have a individual that I used to like to watch his stuff, and then all of a sudden started doing some things and then checking and going, okay, I don't listen to anything anymore because you've screwed up your credibility, and I'm not going to watch them.
And there's been plenty of people over the years, you and I both have talked about this, that have lost their credibility with me, and I'm just not doing it anymore.
Yep.
More news with Minnesota, though. When Ilhan Omar was first elected in 2019, she reported a negative net worth. You said it was
around
$60,000?
she was $60,000 in debt.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's been coming up on 7 years now. I guess it's 7 years now. Now she is reportedly worth $30 million. And
wow, the American dream is alive and well, especially when you steal from the government.
And you just got to, I mean, that right there should trigger an investigation. I don't care whether you got a R by your name or a D by your name. If you've become rich while sitting in a chair that pays $174,000 a year, if you've gained $30 million in a couple of years, in a handful of, yeah, somebody should look into that, because that sounds, I don't know. Like I said, I don't care if you're a Republican or not. It doesn't matter to me. If you're screwing the government, if you're screwing your country, your taxpayers, then yeah, you should be investigated.
Well, the other deal is her husband's company, being a venture capitalist, had all these big names that were on the board and stuff. And when they start looking at her and how you making all this, and he was in charge of supposedly billions of dollars of other people, things started getting scrubbed off the website.
Of course.
Because it's like, uh-oh, they know about me. Crap.
And that's the thing. The arrogance has gone on for so long, because they had President Autopen in the White House. It was, walking out the door at 4 p.m. every afternoon. I mean, quiet during the weekends. The reporters have all said this. Nothing was happening. So it's like everybody had free reign to do whatever you wanted. If you got carte blanche, you're gonna cash those checks.
Yeah, the poor reporters are so exhausted right now. They can't keep up with Trump. He's just doing too much stuff.
He's 79 years old, and he's just too energetic. Goodness gracious. I don't know. But anyway, Ilhan Omar had said this in Congress the other day, which blew me away. Actually, Trump is not happy about this either. Here we go.
The one place where we thought we would never experience this is the U.S. goddamn states.
Trump heard that, and I guess he's looking to get rid of her. Yeah.
We're not going to put you in jail. We're going to send you back where you got run off from. Even the Somalis didn't like her.
Oh, I know it.
And her family.
I heard somebody was talking about this the other day. As far as livability, that is probably one of the worst countries on the planet. And dumpster fire doesn't even do it justice. I mean, it's a terrible, terrible place. So anyway, we'll have to wait and see how all that goes. I think she's gotten a little bit too arrogant and free to say whatever she feels like saying, and I think she could be in trouble.
Well, with any luck at all, she will be somebody else's problem again and not ours.
Yeah. Again, Pam Bondi, we need some action.
Yeah.
Are you home?
Hello, anybody in there?
So we'll see.
McFly. Sorry.
Look, a little cough. You can't do that to me.
Yeah, I made you cough three weeks in a row now.
It's all your fault. So we're actually close to another break, so let's do that. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about, actually, we're going to get off the subject of Minnesota. There's other things going on, so we'll talk about some of that when we come back, so hang in there.
More of the Stay Off My Lawn podcast is coming up.
Government adds to your fun. Tackle's fun for everyone. Tackle freshness, smoothness too. You will love it, millions do. Makes your mouth feel fresh and clean. After meals and in between. Tackle Mint adds to your fun. Double Mint chewing gum.
You will love the double fresh taste and double smooth chewing goodness of Double Mint gum. That's why we say that chewing Double Mint doubles the pleasure of everything you do. So remember, Double Mint
adds to your fun.
It's fun.
Double pleasure all in one. So delicious, great to chew. Treat yourself and your friends too. Tastes so good and lasts so long. Get some soon, you can't go wrong. Double Mint adds to your fun. Double Mint chewing gum.
Those commercials bring back a lot of good memories and everything.
I did not know you were going to play that, but I have the Double Mint because that's who sponsored Blondie and Dagwood. So it's still sitting here. I had that, and when it would come on, I would show the Double Mint.
Did you have that commercial to run during that? I don't remember. Yes. Did you?
And we did, there's different things. They have in-show commercials that's part of the script, and they're hilarious because all of a sudden they're talking about, say, you know what you need? It's like, what? You need some Double Mint gum. It'll make you more handsome, and you need a lot of help.
Because your breath is killing me. That's probably where it comes. Yeah. Some of those songs are it's very annoying. I don't know how people live through. How did we live through all that? Anyway, last week CNN had DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin.
Oh, this is so awesome.
On one of their shows. I forgot who I think it was Margaret Brennan that was interviewing. I can't remember. But I guess because she's young, attractive, and we're just steamroller. And she's an empty suit. It didn't work out so much.
Not so empty.
Here's how that went.
In the last 5 weeks, we have arrested 2,500 criminal illegal aliens off of the streets of Minneapolis. If I can make my point, I appreciate you having me, but I do want to be able to make my point. Sure. The point of the matter is, I have not seen CNN cover who some of those individuals are. An individual from Ecuador, he murdered his 3-month-old son. An individual who's perpetuating human slavery and human trafficking. Scores and scores of murders, child pedophiles. Why does the media not talk about that? We continue to see that people love to demonize law enforcement, vilify them as they're facing a 1,000% increase in assaults against them. And yet we're not talking about the great work that they're doing on the ground, the fact that they are risking their lives day in and day out to get these criminals off the ground. Gang members, known as suspected terrorists. These are all the people that we've arrested in Minneapolis. And DHS and Secretary Noem, President Trump, have done a phenomenal job of trying to give people transparency on who we are arresting. And yet we're standing here talking about relitigating cases over and over and over again.
So she that was a nice verbal body slam. I like that.
She goes, yeah, I'm going to make my point. Thanks for having me on, but and she's like, you're not doing this crap to me. I'm going to get this out. And there was more verbalizing going on, and she didn't tolerate anything that host wanted to interrupt her on.
Yeah, if you saw the video, she looked a little shocked that it went so far off the rails for her.
It reminded me of Bernadette from the Big Bang Theory.
Oh yeah,
she just looks so meek and mild, and then when it's doing
she's got
stuff,
that little voice.
When it comes out and stop doing that, the one wedding thing. Is anybody else got anything smarky to say?
That was the beauty of that. She could pull that out,
Yep. I didn't think so. It's like, I'm not crossing her. She might only be 5 feet tall, but
I've learned a long time ago, you don't cross any women at all. If you can avoid it, you just leave them be, because they can be badgers. We don't need no stinking badgers. Anyway, one of the best sheriffs in the country, talking about ICE, Grady Judd from Polk County, Florida, spoke about.
I love him. If you ever get a chance to see any of his stuff that he does.
Look, he's got an Instagram account. He's got a lot of his little speeches in there. It's fantastic. He's like America's sheriff. I think every sheriff in the country ought to sound like this guy. But he was talking about the demonization and the attacks of ICE officers that we've seen in other parts of the country, and why it's not happening where he lives.
I'm telling you, folks, they're trying to demonize ICE. We work with them hand in glove every day. They are wonderful, dedicated, hardworking law enforcement officers, and they're not getting crap thrown at them in the state of Florida. They're not ginning up people that are not happy in the state of Florida because we're not putting them in that position in the state of Florida. And the same environment could be in every one of those states if the state had cooperated. But instead, you've elected a bunch of people there, governors primarily, House and Senate members, mayors, city commissioners, county commissioners, that said, hey, we're going to let these criminals that are here illegally committing crime against the people of the state of California or Minnesota or wherever, we're going to allow them to come back out into the community and commit more crime against you rather than turn them over to our federal partners. That's why you're seeing all this scrum all over the nation.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. And if they just had cooperation from the local police authorities and sheriffs and police stations, things would be a whole lot. We wouldn't see what we're seeing. So
there was, and I don't think it was Florida. I don't remember where they were, but it was a state where they were cooperating. Excuse me, with ICE. It's getting worse. Cooperating with ICE. I'm gonna start squeaking like I'm going through the change again.
That'd be nice.
And it was no big deal. ICE pulled up. They had all their trucks and stuff, and we're going to. This person was a very nefarious, nasty criminal. Nobody was bothering him. Wasn't a problem. The local cops were helping out. I'm sorry I said that, and it's like I got a scam call years ago when I was teaching fraud in Capital One, and I got a call that said, well, if you don't pay this, your local cops are going to come and pick you up. I live out in the country. I don't have any local cops.
Good, you got my address?
You got a sheriff that goes by. Is there anything I need to pack? And they hung up.
Oh my gosh!
It was just I had to play it for the class. That was just too good because my local cops were going to show up.
But Sheriff Judd was right though. Is like you got people like Tim Walz and Jacob Frey that are saying, these are Gestapo. Everybody should be afraid because they're looking for your neighbors of color. It's like, if you don't realize you're stoking fire that not even there. I mean, I just don't get why people can't put this together, that the reason Minnesota is such a crap hole now is because they're and no offense to the rest of Minnesota. I've seen the political maps of Minnesota. It's Minneapolis is blue and the rest of it is pretty much red. So no offense to everybody who doesn't live in Minneapolis, but Minneapolis, you're being manipulated by these low IQ leaders that you have elected. And, like I said, calling them Gestapo and Nazis, it's like, it's just so annoying.
There was a gentleman that was checking on these people, and he had interviewed folks, and one lady had been at 19 different protests around the country.
Oh boy. Yeah.
They're being paid quite well to go from place to place and agitate, and this is what they do for work.
That thing that Don Lemon, part of his video, they showed like a bunch of signs all stacked up to where people had just went over to pick them up. So it's like there's a coordination. I don't think people realize it. This is not an organic get together that people are doing. I mean, this is all coordinated. This is like a company, and checks are being cut. And anyway.
Yep.
We keep getting clips like this, because the interwebs exist, and I love that. And
thank you, Al Gore.
Yes, exactly, because he invented it. Right?
And he wants to run for president again. I just saw yesterday.
Oh, good. I'm sure he'll do well. We're going to keep sharing these clips too because it points out the hypocrisy, and really, that's the least we can do, at least on this show, is pointing out the hypocrisy so people wake up. But anyway, this is we're trying to inform the voters of the moving goalposts of these people are doing in office. This is from one of the Democratic debates back in 2008, and see if you recognize the voice here.
This administration, the Bush administration, has done nothing to control the problem that we have. We've had 5 million undocumented workers come over the borders since George Bush took office. It has become an extraordinary problem. And the reason the American people are concerned is because they are seeing their own economic position slip away. And oftentimes, employers are exploiting these undocumented workers. They're not paying the minimum wage. They're not observing worker safety laws. As president, I will make sure that we finally have the kind of border security that we need. That's step number one. Step number two is to take on employers. Right now, an employer has more of a chance of getting hit by lightning than be prosecuted for hiring an undocumented worker. That has to change. They have to be held accountable. Start shedding some light on the problem, and we can once again be a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. That's what I intend to do as president of the United States.
What a maroon.
I think that the xenophobic president that he was, oh my gosh.
That's not what he did when he was a consultant for Biden. He actually was in the White House more than Biden was.
Yeah,
believe it or not, because you have to have a card to scan in, blah, blah, blah. And he was there more hours than Biden was.
And he was wearing sweatpants with a headset.
Well, he went down to the basement. It was more comfortable.
Exactly. But, it's just funny how things change. That was 2008. We're talking 18 years ago. I mean, it blows my mind that he would be considered a xenophobe or a racist right now.
Oh,
if he
yeah.
said, again.
No, he wouldn't, because he's got a D beside his name. Those things don't get uttered when you have a D beside you. You can do whatever with a D beside your name, but if you've got an R, you are the worst thing on the face of this earth, and I'm getting tired of it.
God help you. Yep. Last week, there was Senate hearings on the safety of the abortion pill, and this has kind of like gone off the rails a little bit for this woman that was on there. And of course, this is all about the abortion bill having the safety of the mother. Of course, nobody cares about the safety of the baby, which is almost always, anyway, the whole idea is to kill the baby. But anyway, one of our favorite senators, Josh Hawley, was talking to one of the witnesses, and she's an OB-GYN, and it was just the first question, and this is how that went.
Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
Can men get pregnant?
Many women that can get pregnant. I do take care of people that don't identify as women. That
Can men get pregnant?
Again, as I'm saying,
Let me just remind you what you testified to a moment ago. Science and evidence should control, not politics. So, can men get pregnant? You're a doctor, I think.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant? Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes/no questions like these are a political tool.
No, yes/no questions are about the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding. I think it is extraordinary that we are here in a hearing about science and about women. And for the record, it's women who get pregnant, not men. We are here about the safety of women and science that shows that this abortion drug causes adverse health events in 11% of cases. That's 22 times greater than the FDA label, another fact you haven't acknowledged. And yet you won't even acknowledge the basic reality that biological men don't get pregnant. There's a difference between biological men and biological women.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Oh, she was he'd ask the question and she's ducking and diving and just everything, but it's just, we're not doing that. And off the air, we were talking about this individual, and what did you find?
Her name is Dr. Nisha Verma, and she is based in the liberal dumpster fire of Georgia, also known as Atlanta. She's actually at Emory Healthcare, because if you Google her name, Nisha Verma, it comes up and it says that there's a bio available for her at Emory Healthcare, big Emory hospital, big hospital here in Atlanta. And so when you click on the link, it's gone. She's been deleted. Now, whether that happened just recently, I don't know. But I think she's been quite an embarrassment. That was very embarrassing.
It was it's like, man, somebody who says I'm going down with my final breath and I'm going to be a woke tart until I croak, and she was not giving up on it. It's like, no, I'm sorry, no.
I do, and I can think of so many other things that you could talk yourself into, sacrificing yourself over this issue because I feel so strongly about it. But this one, are you kidding me? Congressman Buddy Carter has sent a letter to the Medical Board of Georgia asking to revoke her license because of all this. So, I mean, people were on this immediately. They also had hearings in the Supreme Court, believe it or not, about transgender people playing on teams that don't match up with their sex assigned at birth. Anyway, interesting enough, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Officer Tatum calls her a weird little woman, which I think is just, I guess she's like 4'10" or something. But anyway, she said during the confirmation hearing a couple of years ago, that she's not a biologist, so she can't define what a woman was.
I
You remember
saw
that?
that was just
That was
like,
Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee asked her that.
said, what?
Anyway, she made this argument the other day. Okay.
You have the overarching classification, everybody has to be, play on the team that is the same as their sex at birth. But then you have a gender identity definition that is operating within that, meaning a distinction, meaning that for cisgender girls, they can play consistent with their gender identity. For transgender girls, they can't.
Cisgender. It's not even a word. I mean, this is all made up the last couple of words. It's just...
First time I heard that, I went, what's a cis? They're sisters or what? I didn't. It's like, okay.
I don't know. Anyway, I guess we'll just put a pin in that and we'll come back to it because I guess the Supreme Court is still looking at it. But that's all Title IX stuff. If you want to know more about what Title IX is, Trump put that back in play when he first got elected this second term, and because Title IX was kind of up for grabs, and all that did is just protect women's sports from being infiltrated by men or any other situation to where sport gets federal funds, then they can't be involved in all this political hubbub, letting men play. Yeah. You know what? We have this one more thing about Medicaid with Wesley Austin, but we are actually running out of time.
Yep.
So let's go to our rest of the story. We need a palate cleanser. We'll just go ahead and do that. This is about a burn victim that you will be familiar with who this is. So here's Paul Harvey and the rest of the story.
Pilot Ray Bell anxiously paced the hospital waiting room. He'd never gotten involved with a total stranger like this before, and the feeling was predictably uncomfortable. Presently, the doctor strode in. "You flew the patient here to Santa Fe?" he asked, and Ray nodded. "Well, you got him here just in time," the doctor continued. "Some bad burns there. We could use more pilots like you for medical emergencies in remote areas." But would the burn victim recover, Ray wanted to know. Well, the doctor glanced at the floor and then back up at Ray. He says, "You live nearby?" And Ray answered that it was near enough, and the doctor said he'd keep him apprised of the patient's condition. And the men shook hands, and they parted. Well, it was days before Ray got the call from the hospital. The situation was still touch and go. The burns were healing, but the patient was not eating, and if he did not start eating soon, he would die. "I'd like to try something," the doctor told Ray. "I'd like to get him out of the hospital and get him home." Well, Ray explained that the patient's home had been burned to the ground, that there were no known next of kin. The doctor said, "I understand that, but I was hoping perhaps you..." It took a few moments for Ray to comprehend what the doctor was suggesting, that he take the patient into his own home to recuperate. But, to Ray's quiet astonishment, he did not say no, said instead that he'd ask his wife, and he did, and they surprised each other by agreeing to accept the responsibility, and for days thereafter, Ray Bell's wife and daughter, age 4, nursed and encouraged the patient, and thus cared for. The patient did begin to eat and did recover. But this is the rest of the story. The Santa Fe hospital to which Ray Bell transported that burn victim in May of 1950, that was a veterinary hospital. Because you see, that home that had burned down was a forest in the Capitan Mountains of New Mexico, and left to fend for himself in that incinerated wasteland. The patient's only hope had been Ray Bell, a pilot and a warden for the state's Department of Game and Fish, whose family took up where the veterinarian had left off. The patient would die, but 26 years later, of old age, at the National Zoo in Washington, D.C., the patient was buried in the historical park in New Mexico already named for him, for at the suggestion of Game Warden Ray Bell, the animal he rescued became a living symbol of a worthy cause, and that symbol lives on. For once upon a conflagration in the mountains of the American Southwest, Ray and his wife and daughter, and only they, stood between an innocent victim and oblivion. But only you, they would say, can prevent such tragedies as forest fires. And that message, adopted by the National Forest Service, became real through the example of the homeless little creature found whimpering in a smoldering woodland, clinging to the branch of a charred tree, an orphaned bear cub, whom the world came to know and to heed as Smokey Bear. And now you know.
Well, I got cut off there. But yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I've known that story.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
Quit flicking your dang cigarettes out the window and you're going to be okay. Well,
Yeah,
we hope
everybody
you-
says Smokey the Bear. No, he does not have a middle name of the. It's
Yeah,
just
I've always-
Smokey Bear.
I've been guilty of that. My whole life, I've called him Smokey the Bear. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, but yeah, I mean, Paul Harvey would know better than us. Anyway, we hope you were somewhat informed and had fun like we did. Don't forget, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, Smart Speaker, Rumble, or wherever you get your podcast.
And if it's just too difficult for you, just go to our good old website of stayoffmylawn.us for all our past and present episodes.
We'll see you next week, folks.
Toodles, thanks so much for listening, and don't forget to tell a friend. We appreciate all of you. Have a great one. Well, we had fun, and hope you did too. The opinions heard here today are not those of anyone other than Mike and Richard. If it made you laugh, or go, or even, then we've done our job. Sort of. Mostly anyway. And if we made you think about things in a common sense manner, we welcome you to the club. And if it didn't, then just stay off my lawn. See you next time.